Geratophobia is the illogical, unreasonable fear of old people and of getting old. And we have an epidemic of it.
Maggie Kuhn, co-founder of the Grey Panthers and one of the great leaders and spokespersons of our time, is making a unique contribution to American society. She is challenging age-related prejudice and generating national support for the needs inherent in the aging process, from the United States Senate to the American Medical Association. With her extraordinary energy and insight, Maggie Kuhn portrays the admirable spirit, commitment, and new image of aging in America.
Our focus is not on old folks' issues. We're not a gray lobby. We're not working for the special interests of old people. We're working for the special interests of people. Humanizing, hopefully, and healing our society of its divisions.
Thank you, Emily, for that clip. Hello, good afternoon, friends. Welcome back to our Transformation Tuesday series, which Grey Panthers has hosted on the final Tuesday of the month since 2021. I'm thrilled to have you all here for what promises to be a robust discussion on the pressing topic of partners in caregiving with our distinguished guests, Lori Porter and Jenine Ferrari. I'm Michelle Arnaud, leading the New York City chapter, and on behalf of the board, I want to convey our sincere thanks for your support for the Grey Panthers movement, which was founded in Philadelphia in 1970 by Maggie Kuhn, whom we just saw in that brief video. Our mission, as stated by Maggie, is to combat ageism and age discrimination while promoting intergenerational contact, which is the intention of our Transformation Tuesday series. So to celebrate what would have been Maggie's 120th birthday on August 3rd, we are launching the month of Maggie. We'll be sharing clips from those who knew her, and we will post a virtual card on our website, which we invite everyone to sign. Plus, we will offer you the opportunity to honor Maggie's memory with your donations, for which you will receive some of our exciting Grey Panthers swag. All of this will be posted on our website in August. Also, in honor of Maggie's birthday, we'll be unveiling a modern new logo that was designed and donated by an outstanding marketing group called Openly Grey. And we want to thank them for their generosity and their unwavering support. So shout out to Elizabeth Hall, Lee St. James, Matt Thornhill, and Ann Webster. Today's topic is one we can all relate to: caregiving. As Rosalind Carter said, there are four kinds of people in the world: those who've been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need a caregiver. Today's presenters will offer us insights, and they're eager to take your questions. So please put them in the chat. In fact, both of our presenters are prepared to stay beyond the hour if necessary in order to answer your questions. So Carrie Leljadal, our vice president, will facilitate today's program and share her experiences on how a working relationship between family caregivers and paid caregivers benefit residents in long-term care. She'll be followed by Jenine Ferrari, formerly Family Council Liaison for the Long-Term Care Community Coalition Family Council Empowerment Team, who will share practical advice on how to form a family council. And then Lori Porter, co-founder and CEO of the National Association of Healthcare Assistants, an organization that is marking its 30th year this year, will talk about her organization and its online classes. So with that, Carrie, the mic is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Caregiving follows us all, it seems, in one direction or another. I talk a lot about my son and the relationships that I've built with the caregivers that take care of him. And people often are surprised by the relationships that you can build, whether it is you're with your in-home caregiver or in a long-term care setting. When my son moved into the home he's in now, which is the only home he's ever lived in besides mine. The caregiver we had for him at home had been with us for 7 years prior to him going there. She was part of our family, and it benefited everybody from her to us. I mean, it wasn't just a job for her. And when my son moved into the home he lives in the beginning, I couldn't understand why it was always seemed like us versus them. And us versus them doesn't work for anybody. All it does is make somebody's back always feels like they're up against the wall. The DD community, which is development and disabled, is a little different than the elder care space, but there's still a lot of similar actions going on in both places. You know, the difference being my son could live where he is for 50 years. Very seldom are you going to have an elder living in that kind of space for more than 5 or 10 years. But I learned real quick that if I stopped looking at them with us versus them and looked at it as we and worked together, the difference that it made for everybody became incredible. The examples, I mean, like this afternoon, I picked up my phone and I called our executive director to tell her a story of something that happened in another home that related to, that I felt like could relate to ours, and I wanted her to know that. You know, most people in this long-term care space will tell you they don't even know who their executive director is, let alone how to pick up a phone and call them or send him an email. I've worked hard to build this relationship, and it's not easy, and there's days it's still not. You know, I'll get upset with somebody and occasionally I'll lose my cool. But even more important, there are lots of days that I remember how grateful I am for them and the care they give my son, that I'm more apt to stop and tell people how much I appreciate what they do. And I'm also willing to work with them. One of the comments that they make when they train people in my son's home is, as long as you tell Carrie the truth, she'll never get mad at you. Everybody's going to make a mistake, whether it's a med error or somebody was moving him wrong and he wound up being lowered to the floor. It happens. I've done it. They've done it. Own your mistakes. You know, same thing when we have new staff members and somebody will be in and they're trying to do something. And I'm like, can I show you how to do it that makes him more comfortable? And the biggest part of everything I do in his home is making people understand what this is. First of all, it's his home. And I often refer to it as our home because I spend so much time there. And if people would come to it with more of that mindset, okay, my spouse is living there, my parent is living there, so now this is also my home. There should never be a CNA or any other staff person that is afraid of a family member. You know, the more we bring these walls down, the better the care everybody is going to receive. You know, Lori often says that, you know, the caregivers want to do the right thing, and they absolutely want to do the right thing. We as family members can empower them to do that, because the more we work with them to allow them to do the right thing, the more that's going to work up the chain. You know, sometimes it's really hard to get the administrators and other people to understand that it's okay to let a staff member make a decision. And in the home my son lives in, basically the rule of thumb is if the staff was trying to do the right thing for the resident, even if it was wrong in the end, they're not going to get in trouble because they were trying to do the right thing. And it's really important, you know, as Jenine goes into talking about family councils, and there'll be some conversation maybe about resident councils. We all need to learn to support those, because again, it brings that communication in, and when possible, bring our caregivers in. You know, and it's not just the CNA or the nurse. It's every person that walks in that building, that cares, that is in that building. You know, the people who do the laundry and do the cleaning every day, they're just as important as the nurse who gives my son his insulin. Because if somebody wasn't washing his dirty clothes or making sure that his floor was swept, we would, you know, those things wouldn't be taken care of. We need to treat them all with that same respect, because they feel like we don't see them. and they need to understand how much we see them and how much we value them. And I've always known it to some degree, but I will tell you, I heard Lori speak last winter for the first time. And even more so since I heard her speak, I've changed and even making sure that I know everybody in the building knows that I appreciate what they do, because it is such a big job. Okay, Jenine, it's yours. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you for saying all of that, Carrie, and thank you for asking me to join you and Lori today on this discussion. This really cool panel. I've been saying this for years, and people who know me, some of them are on today's Zoom. We've got members of my family council, our family council on today's Zoom. I'm always trying to drive home to family members, particularly on my own family council, to learn the names of the CNAs and the nurses who are helping your loved one. It's a small detail, but it counts so much because it humanizes them, and it helps build the relationship with the people who help your loved one all day long, while you're there and while you're not there. At the end of the day, yes, you love your loved one, but you leave them in the hands of these incredible human beings who chose this line of work, knowing that they could make money, a lot more money somewhere else, but they have chosen to stay here and be dedicated to the residents of the long-term care home that your loved one lives in. So please, I would say it's a small gesture, but it's incredibly important. I know that there are people who have multisyllabic names. That's okay. Learn them, write them down, learn how to pronounce them. That type of effort will be noticed by that person and by everyone else that you are trying. And that's all we can ask of each other, is to try. Another thing I would just like to share, my dad has lived at a VA nursing home, the VA nursing home at Montrose, for 8 years. And I've become pretty close to the CNAs and the nurses who take care of him and keep him healthy and help me in just keeping him safe and adding quality to his life. I invest, and it's a very small investment, but I invest in something called Poopery, which is a spray that you spray into the toilet before going to the bathroom. And it is an air freshener, and it freshens the air in the bathroom before, during, and after its usage. It's used in the day rooms in my dad's unit at the nursing home. I refill it, check it every week whenever I visit. And I just buy refills, and I give them to the head CNA. And everyone is very happy because I've told them, the air you breathe is just as important as my dad. And if you can't breathe fresh air, you're no good to anybody. So they really like that. I printed out from the Poopery website how to use it, how it works. And so I'm training these CNAs, and hopefully they pass it on to other CNAs. But it's a very small gesture it's just shown them that I care that much. That said, there's other things that you can do too, like just asking them how they are and stopping and looking at them in the eye and listening to their response. How are you? That's great. How was you were away? Where did you go? Oh my God, Bermuda, that's amazing. It just makes them, or helps them, to feel like you are on the same team. I hope that helps. I have a lot more, but I don't want to bogart the session here.
Please. Gene, why don't you tell people about family councils a little bit first, just before you give it to Lori? So
I would love to. Family councils are a federally and state regulated advocate entity in most long-term care homes. I don't use the word facility. My father lives in a home. So I don't use that word. It's fine if you want to use it. I just don't. And we formed our family council in my father's nursing home about 5 years ago. We've grown it from 15 people to 40 to 60. We have about 175 people signed up for it currently. And it's basically an entity that meets however often you want to meet. Ours meets weekly. And you decide on a mission statement, and you decide what will you be doing, working together, all your voices together to add quality to the residents' life while they're there. We have chosen to pursue loss prevention, which was successfully initiated in my dad's nursing home earlier this year. The system called ScanDent, which is really cool. They mark eyeglasses, and they mark sometimes dentures, they mark hearing aids, iPads, watches, whatever you like, that cannot be lost. They can't be either stolen or thrown out in the garbage, because sometimes that happens. And it's had quite the impact since it was enacted a few months ago. We also vetted and chose Calvary Hospice to have implemented in my dad's nursing home. And I want to say the word fought, because that's what it felt like. We fought with the administration to implement it, and it was finally implemented last year. So now we can offer Calvary Hospice to people who are at that point in their lives in living in our nursing home. We had a hand in having the VFW store reopen after COVID, because that's where the residents can go and buy sundries, buy gifts, buy cards, greeting cards, buy a hat, what have you. They can go and spend their money. If they have someone visiting them, they can buy them a t-shirt or just a souvenir, something, a memento, a souvenir to commemorate, or to just gift them during the visit. And that was something of a success. Right now we're working on building a better kitchen in my dad's residence. It's right now it's a cook chill type of kitchen, but we're looking to have the kitchen rehabilitated so that there are more fresh things, more fresh meats and fresh vegetables and legumes can be added to their diet every day, because most residents, as people know here and everywhere, most residents look forward to the 3 meals a day. They don't have a lot to look forward to, and that sensory and sight experience adds to their daily lives. So we're working on that right now, and we're working on adding more recreational activities. I won't lie, we've had quite the 5 years fighting and advocating, but we finally were gifted. We're blessed with an administrator who is a social worker, and she is keen to work with our family council to implement some of these ideas, because frankly, we come up with really good ideas. We work with the resident council. We work with residents. We ask them what they want. It's not a lot. They don't want that much. They just want better nutrition. They want more activities. They want to leave and go on trips, day trips, or a trip to, the Chinese food place down the street. And we're working to realize those things and make them happen. So that is, to me, that's the importance of a family council. I would be happy to help anyone here with a family council. Form one, maintain one. If you have any questions, I've worked with family councils throughout the country, and I know a lot because I've made mistakes, but I've also learned through my mistakes and worked with other people throughout the country who have shared their successes, and I've shared mine with them. So I'd be happy to help you. I will put my contact information in the chat for whoever likes to contact me, and I'll be there for you. Thank you.
So now we're going to hear from Lori Porter, and Lori speaks for the CNAs, and she wears as a badge of honor, and she should. Not very seldom do we find people that are actually speaking up for the staff, speaking up for CNAs or, the direct care staff. Everyone looks at the nurses and looks at the administration, and they forget the others. And Lori's done an incredible job of giving them a voice. It's yours, Lori.
Thank you very much, Carrie. I appreciate that. Michelle, thank you for having me. And Janine, great being a presenter with you. Before I talk about caregivers, I'd like to just reiterate a few things that Janine said. She talks about family council as a wonderful thing, and it is, but I'm going to talk to you about it being almost a necessary thing. If we want to make life better for our elders, families have to be involved. Families have to learn this business. Too many elders in this country are being managed, manipulated, and falsely educated on various things within the care continuum that makes it entirely difficult for anyone to navigate long-term care, senior care, elder care, because it is challenging and it's made to be that way on purpose, I'm convinced. But a family council is a way for families to show up and show out. As a former nursing home administrator, I can tell you that my worst nightmare was my families. I hated seeing them come through my door because rarely were they coming in to tell me I was running the best nursing home in the area. Rarely were they coming in to tell me that we were just incredible. But it was always, you've lost my mom's 7th set of dentures. You can't keep track. My wife's always wet and I'm private pay. The complaints are just countless in long-term, especially skilled nursing, for a number of reasons, and I'm happy to ask any questions about that. There's not very many positions in a skilled nursing home and assisted living that I have not performed for a paycheck, not just to say, hey, I was this or I was that. I'm speaking to you today from Missouri. This is my home state. I'm a high school dropout from Anderson, Missouri, who never thought I would amount to anything. Started washing dishes because my mom was a dietary manager at the local nursing home. And I was really dropped out of school because I was going to move to New York City and become a soap opera actress. And Mom and I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Anderson, Missouri. And she's like, girl, you better get a hold of yourself. You know, if you're not going to go to work or go to school, you're going to go to work here. Well, in that small town, in that small county, there were only 3 places to work: a chicken plant, a 100-bed nursing home, and a mom and pop hamburger ice cream joint. I said, Mom, I'm going to the Dairy Cone. I can flip burgers. She said, no, honey, you're not. You're coming to the nursing home. I need a dishwasher. Now, I'd have picked the chicken plant over the nursing home, and chicken plants are the grossest places on earth to work other than caring for people who could no longer care for themselves. But here's the deal. I learned this in 1980 because I knew I would have picked the chicken plant more. It was more popular to pluck chickens than it was to take care of old people in 1980. The saddest thing I have to report to you in 2025 is that it still is. And we've got to change that. Most of you have your cameras off, but the few of us brave enough to have ours on were no spring chickens. And I've been looking at Catherine Klein ever since she came on because I love the hat. So thank you, Catherine, for having a picture with that styling hat. We are all, there she is, no hat. Thank you, Catherine. Anyway, we all are facing something that we better prepare for. There's nothing out there currently to help anyone navigate. I'll just be upfront with you. Just a few months ago, my wife and I took in a dear friend of ours who is, she has some short-term memory challenges. And just navigating, her husband passed away, so she's now what's called a solo elder. And just navigating Social Security, her VA, the VA, every one of these hoops, getting a marriage certificate after you've been married for 50 years and they can't find your last name coincidentally. Everything is designed to keep us from getting what we deserve in our old age. And I'm as pissed off as anybody can be about it. And I apologize. You caught me on one of these days when I can't help but I can't hold my tongue. But here's what I want to say. The family councils are the secret sauce to success. Secret sauce to the success of a successful care center, a care community. Anywhere, what I did nearly got me fired when I was the administrator and I'm getting all these complaints. I called in a family meeting. I invited them, 100 of them came to my dining room at the nursing home and just let me have it. And I encouraged him to, because I don't have all the answers and never said I did. And so we went through every single thing. And I'll give you an example. People always complain, my wife's always wet, my mom's wet, we're private pay, and dad's always wet. Well, finally I said, look, we've done bladder surveys. Mr. X, your wife, urinates about every 10 minutes. My staff will never be able to keep her dry. But here's how you'll know when we're neglecting your wife. Oh, you see, families have no education on how this business works. They thought we were getting rich and not caring for their loved one. So I set up a budget and finance committee of my families. I set up a hiring committee because they thought in 1990 I was hiring everybody that was on parole. Can you imagine having people think that's who you're hiring to care for their loved ones, or people and that was 1990, folks. I said, I've got to share with you the applicants that we're getting. No one wants to live here, so no one wants to work here. I need you to be part of this team. And so I nearly got fired. The president of the company called me up and said, are you truly showing the families the monthly financials? And I said, absolutely. He said, why? But you see, I've always been one of those people that would rather ask for forgiveness than permission. And so my family's got a lesson on how long-term care works, the funding piece, the costs. It's a fixed income. You can't make more than the number of beds that are on that property. We have to be in this together. Now, I want to talk to you about CNAs and why we started this association, because 30 years ago, 1995, after being a CNA for 7 years, a nursing home administrator for 6 years, I ran 10 skilled nursing homes here in Missouri and Kansas, and I could not staff these buildings in the early 90s. So I said, somebody has to do something full-time about caregivers, about frontline, about CNAs, honor and recognizing them. You see, I never wanted to be one. I thought it was a fate worse than death to have to go to work at that nursing home. And within a month or so, I find myself being a CNA. And I want to tell you why I never went to a chicken plant and why it hooked me. It's a horrible thing to have happen, but I like to be candid and transparent. I was never going to be a nurse aide. They made me. I did not receive a calling. I did not care about many things but myself. I didn't like coming out of the kitchen. I was afraid of the old people touching me. I don't know where your hands have been. You know, I was not that kind. And now I got to take care of people. And on the 26th evening of my first time being a CNA, on the 20th evening, all I did that month to get through it till my mom was out of town working somewhere else was to look at the exit door I'd parked closest to. On the last minute, I had to be there so I could escape. And on the 20th evening shift, I answered a call light of a 90-something-year-old, stunningly beautiful old woman. And I don't have time to tell you the whole story, but make no mistake, Mrs. Punton, she's been gone for many decades, but she was stunningly beautiful, and everybody hated her. The staff hated her. I'd never answered a call light or been on her hall until this 20th night, but I knew exactly who she was when I stepped into the room. Oh, this is her. You could tell. Mrs. Punton was stunningly beautiful. See, the reason they didn't like her is they had to put makeup on her. Everything. Eyeliner, shadow, blush, foundation, concealer, you name it. She wanted it. And she wanted her hair curled in a little bob, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with any of that. But here's what the staff said. We wouldn't have to do that for her, except for she's private pay. We have to cater to her because she's private pay. And so I knew who she was. And let me tell you, their words played in my mind the whole time I was in that room. along with another soundtrack going exactly at the same time of She's Stunningly Beautiful. Oh my God, I wonder if she was a movie star. Long story short, I helped her. It took forever. She had a lot of wants and asks and this and that in particular, and I didn't have time, and she wasn't my resident. And finally, she caught on to the fact of me huffing and puffing that she was taking too long. And she looks up at me from the toilet, her most vulnerable position she could possibly be in, and said, "Honey, if you didn't have any more patience for the old people than this, maybe you picked the wrong line of work." Holy God. I stepped back 2 steps and thought, who in the world do I think I am? How dare I? I was pretty shocked I didn't just go, "Lady, you ain't telling me nothing I don't already know. I've been looking for a way out of here for the last 20 days. But no, no, that's not the reaction I had, because I realized at that time I was one of the most powerful people in the world. And you may be sitting there going, "What? You were not even certified yet. How could you be one of the most powerful people in the world?" And I said, "Because that night and every night, I have the power to make old people feel beautiful, special." Why didn't I say, "Miss Punton, were you a movie star? It wouldn't have taken 1 second longer. Miss Punton, I could have lifted her up, and instead I stripped her of her every dignity in her most vulnerable moment." And I learned the power of caregiving. I learned the power of engagement, the power of the caregiver resident relationship. And one other thing I learned that you have to be aware of is I learned the power of the families. But here was my problem. I could only speak with you in secrecy unless it was about the weather, right? If you asked if mom had gotten her insulin shot today, I wouldn't be able to answer that for you. I would have to send you to the nurse's station. And I promise you, no one on this planet knows your mama better than I do. But I can't tell you. And this has happened. I can't tell you the number of CNAs that have gotten fired. We are not a union, we're a professional association. And I know that union is popular in many places in this United States in healthcare. But I've never found them to advance my members any more than those who aren't part of a union. They all have the same complaints. I felt after Miss Punton and after the years of serving in capacity of an operator or a caregiver that the best way that I could help the residents was to go to work full time, ensuring there were enough quality professional caregivers to go around. Over the first 20 years of this association, I learned that nursing homes don't want what we offer. They do not want an empowered, educated, knowledgeable CNA or caregiver because they fear them the most. They have the most allegiance to the families. And the truth lies at the front line, trust me. We know how many showers aren't given. We know how many things are missed, how many snacks are missed. We know who didn't get taken down to supper. If nursing homes had to do line item billing, I tell you they'd reform tomorrow because they wouldn't be getting paid. But if you're going to get a check every day for the full amount for care you don't deliver, we have a problem. So I am not just saying be an active family. I am saying be an active family counsel on steroids, because you're not just going to be helping your loved one. So many people will tell you if you're picking a nursing home, the first question you should ask is about the staffing. Okay, well, what good is that? Because I can give you an answer you'll never be able to interpret in a million years. And that's part of the game. I'm going to say, oh, we provide 3.0 hours, nursing hours per day. What's that mean? See, everything is to deceive. You only wanted how many CNAs per resident is what you want to know, not about staffing. You want to know about that staff. How many residents per caregiver, per CNA? If it's assisted living, it's direct care professional. That is the only question. The second question, if that's, I still think that's number 2 question. No one's going to tell you this, but me. I don't believe anyone ever will. No one ever told me this. I just had to figure it out on my own. The number 1 thing any inquiring family making this choice should ask is, I've taken the tour, it's lovely, but my next thing I would like to do is set up an appointment with your resident council president. Now, you heard Jenine talk about family councils. I worked the first 10 years of my career believing, even as an operator, that a family council was regulated by the feds. You had to have one. And lo and behold, I found out during the pandemic, all these years later, there is no federal requirement for a resident council. So if a home doesn't have one, that is your first sign that this is not a resident first mission, right? No resident council means nobody has a voice in the food, nobody has a voice in the care or in the staff. This is your voice in. And your voice always, you don't have to be rude and hateful, but you have to ask questions. I'll give you a real quick example because I know I can talk about a shoestring all day, and that's not what you asked me to do. But I helped a family a few years ago toward the end of the pandemic. It happened to be a resident and his wife, and either of them hadn't had showers in 8 weeks. 8 weeks. And they were bariatric residents, meaning they were very heavy, large people. And first off, they couldn't find a nursing home here that would take them, so they had to go 5 hours away. So he found me on Facebook, oddly enough. A resident of a nursing home reached out to me to see if I could help them because they hadn't had baths. He said, should we ask for the doctor? I said, absolutely not. The doctor has 0 power. He cannot help you get a shower. It won't happen. They said, well, what? I said, you have to do exactly what I say, and I mean exactly. So anyway, long story short, I had him set an appointment with the administrator, and I told him to ask the price of a bath. What is the cost of a shower? I said, he or she's going to be stunned. They're not going to have an answer for you right away. Give them a day or two, but make sure you get that figure. What is the cost of a shower? I said, if it's $10, $100, or $1,000, I don't know what the number should be or will be, but tell them to times it by, what did I say, 8 weeks? Times it by 16 and take it off our bill because that's Medicaid fraud. You got paid for a service you didn't deliver. Now, if we start educating consumers in this way, we may finally one day get some power as consumers. And yes, I just saw baby boomers in that comment. I don't know what else it said, but it's on us. It is on us to make this change, not the next generation. I know we've been passionate about bringing millennial and Z, right? Yeah, all the way forward, to help, and we have to do that too. But this was our problem. This was dumped in our laps 30 years ago, and we haven't solved it because everybody wanted to play nice. No one's playing nice to us. It shouldn't be this hard to be taken care of in your later years in life. And so even with Medicare, it gives you the illusion they pay 80%. You know they don't pay 80% of anything. You look at your next explanation of benefits and see what they paid the hospital versus what your 20% was. How is it your 20% comes out to more than what Medicare paid? That's an illusion to make you think 80% is paid. No. Medicare never paid 80% to begin with. It's a negotiated rate with it as a fraction. It is time that we educate ourselves and stop taking in excuses. Thank you, Kathleen Gerard. And I'm assuming your F word is the same as my F word, and it ain't Ferrari today. Anyway, sorry, Jenine. But this is just what I mean. I've been at this a long time, and I'm going to start helping families learn the truth. And I've worked very hard with CNAs. I'm going to tell you right now, couple of things Carrie and Jenine said, I'm going to go back on, push back a little bit. You cannot afford to believe every CNA and caregiver is alike.
No, I agree.
They are not all cut from the same cloth, and I'm going to give you my new rule. And again, it is not scientific. It's just based on, up until the pandemic, I was in about 70 to 100 different skilled nursing homes a year across this country. And there's not much I haven't seen. And now I forgot what it was I was going to give you. What was it I said, Carrie? Do you remember?
No,
A lot.
you
I'll
said,
come. Huh?
you said you were gonna tell them something that Janine and I were wrong about with
Oh,
all
yes,
three of
yes,
us.
yes. My less than scientific rule. It is now 60-40. In 2014, I did a road show to nursing homes, and it was 90-10 in 2014. 90% of the caregivers, the CNAs, are amazing people. 10% shouldn't be anywhere near a nursing home or an elder. Unfortunately, that has been demolished to more. I'm going to be generous and do 70-30. And we've got to do something to make 70 100, because no one can afford, no one deserves. And, it was what, 2013, 14, 2010, CNN did that investigative piece on, I'll never forget the headline. You expect the nursing home to call saying your mother's passed. You never expect them to call and say she's been raped. Never. We cannot afford it. We cannot allow it. Nobody's mother deserves it, and we dang sure ain't gonna deserve it either. So I want to see the Gray Panthers get loud and proud and help me and us and all of us together in any way we can hold these facilities accountable. We have the illusion that the government holds them accountable through the survey process. I don't know each of you at all, and it's always dangerous for me to talk to a crowd I don't know, because probably somebody is not going to like it. But but the thing is I just want to protect. I want to arm folks. And the regulations, I'll just give you a simple equation. You can look at, there's something called a 5-star system for nursing homes, kind of like the hotel ratings. So a 5-star is supposed to mean excellence, right? You can't get any better than a 5-star nursing home. Be sure to look at the staffing star. They have to break those down into 5 different areas. Look at the staffing star, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of nursing homes that are 5-star buildings saying they're excellent, but with a 2-star staff rating. And that is, tell me how that makes sense. How can you be so good with a lousy staff? It just doesn't even, it doesn't make sense. So these are the things I hope Gray Panther will continue to call on me for from time to time. I can be a little much. I'm hopeful. I'm going to shut up here in just a second, because I don't know if the chat questions are for me, but anyway, let's be quiet. Thank you guys so much. I love being here. I love what we do, and I just hope to keep doing it until we can really, really solidify.
So I
Greatness.
was gonna touch something that was in the chat where it talks about, if the states or CMS or me would pay us all to care for our loved ones and keep them at home. I was doing that when my son wound up living where he is. And I'm very open and honest about it. He didn't fall, he stood up on a Saturday morning and he broke his leg in 2 places just by standing up. And 4 days later, I had a massive heart attack. and needed heart surgery, and I was in the hospital for a long time. And the state told my husband, you have no choice. He must go live somewhere because she cannot provide the care he needs any longer. And I had in-home care for my son. I had a caregiver that was excellent. She had been with us 7 years. No matter how much any one of us want to do it at home, and we do, it also becomes to a point that it's not only risking your life, it is risking their lives if you can't do it properly. I had no clue until I moved my son where he is, and until I finally accepted it, and that was not easy. It took me years to accept where he is now, that is his home. Not only was it physically better if it's done right, socially, they were able to give him things that I will never be able to give my son. Does every place give it? No, they don't. And should they? Yes. I'm very lucky where my son lives. We have 51 residents on our side of the building. And like I said, our side. I love them all like they're my own.
The
I
fact remains that, yeah, the fact remains, Carrie, you've got a great situation, and a lot of it is because you're there so much. And here's the thing, the guilt is the horrible part, right? Just like, you think you should be able to do this at home. My own mother had a stroke. I could not take care of her in the way that rehab could have potentially helped her. But I want to tell you, she lasted 22 days in skilled nursing before she fell, hit her head on the tile floor, and took her last breath a couple hours later in a coma. And people say, were you mad at the nursing home? And I said, no, not so much. They were trying to get help. They said, were you mad at the nurse aides? I said, oh my God, no, there were just 2 for 60 residents. And this is how I hold my members accountable, because they'll say, well, you have to be mad at somebody. And I said, well, I guess if I'm mad at anyone, it's the 3 CNAs who called in that night, because you're so important. When you're not there, mommies die. And that generally sends a loud message to them about their value and their importance. And I ask CNAs every time I'm with them. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was with 49 CNAs in central Missouri. And I said, how do you know if you're doing a good job or a bad job? And I ask this everywhere I go and meet with CNAs. And not one time has ever in the years has one CNA ever said my employee evaluation. They say the families, the resident families, are how I know I'm doing a good job. If they're happy, then I know I've done good. Isn't that sad that that's where they get there? That's the only place. And sometimes the residents, it used to always be the residents, because you got back in the day, there were more residents alert and oriented in skilled care than there are today. So it comes from the families if they're going to get it at all. And so, any other questions that were in the chat? Michelle, or excuse me, whoever's moderating.
So Claudia, where you talk about, residents or the CNAs are supposed to read the care plan and that they don't have the time, and that's very accurate. Um, I, even little bitty things, even when they try, they can't catch it all. My son is blind on the left side of both of his eyes. And I had a nurse come in yesterday to talk to him who knows him well. And she was standing on his left and she's looking like, why isn't he seeing me? And I'm like, do you forget he's blind on that side? Even the ones that know it, they have so many residents and so much to do that they can't remember everything. Families are as important as any staff person in those homes, because we all need to be working together. Anybody who believes that a nursing home can provide all of the care is crazy. They're not funded to do it. They're not staffed to do it. Alex Eshlam sitting here shaking his head. He works with a group of guys at a nursing home in New York. These residents will tell you the same thing. Families have to be there to make everyone, and it's important for the residents themselves. Even if you don't have family, need to see you.
Hey, Carrie, I did want to,
Go ahead.
AMK put in the chat, No Country for Old People coming out August 1st. I participated in that documentary. I'm certain that it's, career suicide probably, but I'm not sure I'm in there a whole lot. But the one clip I saw, I'm going, well, it's essentially legal money laundering. So I imagine all the owners will have a hit out on me before August 2nd. But anyway, it is, I hope everyone will tune in that has Prime. It's a 3-part series. So thank you for putting that in the chat.
And I've seen bits and parts of it too. I know Susie. All these stories are important to be told. You know, the guys out of Kohler Nursing Home that Alex works with made a movie um called Fire Through Dry Grass. It's another one and these guys um recorded theirs on their GoPro cameras during the pandemic. So this is their words doing what they saw and how they live. Um, it's
I
important we
wouldn't.
all know this. It's important we all speak up. Lori and I met with a lady this morning from an organization called Caring Across Generations. Her name is iJen Poo. She speaks for every caregiver in this country, regardless if you are a CNA, a mom, a spouse. She's there fighting every day for people. They were on Capitol Hill last week and held a vigil for 60 hours for legislators to know how upset we are that they're stripping away our residents' rights and their care they deserve, and what these Medicaid cuts are going to do. But again, it takes everybody. And there's not a question out there that I don't think you could ask that I won't answer, that Lori won't answer. We want to be an open book because we want people to be as pissed off as we are. You know, meeting
Well,
Lori, like I
it's
said, in February was
it's going to be
an
horrible. It
experience.
really is going to be a horrible docu-series, and it's not going to be any fun to watch. There's no doubt. And they did go very, very far. But, Carrie and I were talking the other day, and I mean, I may be all wrong about this because Lord knows I'm crazy these days, but it wasn't until like 2010 when Sarah McLachlan sang In the Arms of an Angel, and they ran sick dogs and mangy dogs across the screen until dogs became supreme beings in the United States of America. And surely to God, we can make that happen for elders. It's sad that we have to go to those links, but no one's listening that needs to be. I mean, we've all been preaching for many years now. It's time for change.
We have a lot of questions here, and I was starting with the one about what about strategies for people of different cultural backgrounds? For example, I've heard that gay people going into retirement communities, long-term care, are going back in the closet. So any suggestions on strategies for different cultural or sexual orientation?
My only strategy for me is that I've been called sir my whole life, so I hope when I get there they just don't make any connection. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, it is a serious problem. We've had LGBTQ couples refused in Missouri a number of times in the last handful of years. So I'm not aware of any, but what's the organization,
So
Carrie?
it's SAGE.
Sage.
And there are some nursing homes around the country that are certified as LGBTQ friendly. And they really, really work very hard. There's a couple in Rhode Island that Rick Gamache runs. I don't know of others, but Sage can help. There, we all need to make sure, no matter what somebody's culture is. I heard somebody speak last summer at a conference, and he was talking about the importance of making sure that for the different holidays that they are recognizing what people want, whether it is you're talking about, making, greens and other foods for, Juneteenth, that that is culturally correct for the African American society. We're saying, making sure that somebody knows that it's Hanukkah and they're making matzo ball soup or making potato latkes. We need to make sure that homes are learning how to do these things. Again, that's going to take the families, even in the best homes. And Lori will tell you, my son lives in an incredible home, and I'm very, very lucky, and I know it. But they can't do it all. Absolutely cannot. Nor would I expect them to, but what I do expect is when I call and I say, hey, can we try this? I don't get told no immediately. I get told, okay, let's see what we can do. If
So,
everybody could
sorry.
get one person in their home to find that attitude to start with and spread that.
There's somebody on the call who is taking care of her mother at the same time. She says, this all begs the question, why? Isn't the point of having your loved one in long-term care that they will take the burden off the family?
No,
So,
no.
okay.
It's kind of
My-
like what Wanda Sykes said about Obama. She was sold on him till he started that, folks, I'm going to need your help. She's like, no, 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 we elected you to do it, man. But yes, we've got, I mean, it is, I hate to make a joke of it, but yes.
Yeah, my son has 12 doctors. I go to almost every doctor appointment with him. Yes, they have people that can do that, but that's,
So you're not off the hook is the short answer
no,
there.
you're not.
The short answer, yep.
And nor
Okay,
should you be.
Okay, and Jack is asking, what if you have no active family members? So it seems that a family council isn't necessarily your family. Is that true?
True.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
We care for everyone, every single resident there, no matter what color, religion, or political affiliation they have.
So
A
really
resident is a resident.
it's
And
really
in
a
fact,
resident council.
yes,
Okay,
and
sorry.
in fact, Michelle, if I may interrupt you, because family members are there so often, the boundaries come down, and family residents will talk to you, and they'll tell you things in confidence. You can then choose to ask them, "Hey, do you need help with this? Would you like to talk to the ombudsman or the social worker about this?" And many times, this happens to me a lot, and my friend Dave, who's on today, can tell you he's witnessed it. The resident who doesn't have a family member vouching for them will say, "Will you stay with me while I talk to the ombudsman? Can you please hold my hand while I talk to the social worker?" It's a very moving thing to be adopted like that, to be able to help someone like that who I have no blood affiliation with. But it makes for a better place, and it adds quality to their life. So yes, you do not need to have a family member or have blood to act like a family member.
So,
And how many people
Go
are
ahead.
on a family council? Can you describe a family council?
A family council can be as many as 2 people, and as much as right now, our current family council long list email list is 177 people. And my dad's nursing home, Dave, shares with me the census every day. My friend Dave Schechter, who's on, we run between 201, like 190 and 201, depending on what's going on. And we do a really good job, I think, of approaching new faces and asking them, just introducing ourselves. I introduce my dad, who's usually with me, and we talk about the family council. Have you heard about the family council? What's your what line of military was your loved one in? How long have they been here? They're here because, oh, okay, they've been assessed. There's many ways you can get to the goal of signing someone up for family council. And some people will warm up to that. Most people will, but some won't. Some just, they have just so much bandwidth and they cannot think of doing something more, or adding, they think, a task to their already, full plate. So I always just point them towards the direction of the family council bulletin board we have in our nursing home, which is that there's 2 of them. And I ask them, if you have any questions, my contact information is up there. Feel free to call me. And if I see them the following week and the following week, I'll say hi to them. And there have been more times than not where someone will say to me, "You know what, I did look at that. I do want to sign up. What do I have to do?" And I'm like, "Nothing. You have to do nothing. You just have to care. It looks like you do. So come on over." And that's it. And that's how we build our family council. We teach our family council members how to advocate for their loved ones, who to call, which social worker to call. how do you escalate something? Do you escalate something? Who do I complain to? What should I expect in my care plan meeting? What kind of questions should I ask in my care plan meeting? There are so many factors that family councils can help with, because think about it, your loved one is orientated into or has an orientation when they join, when they're admitted to a nursing home, but you don't. You're literally just dropped into that new place. You don't know who to hang out with. It's like your first day in high school. And so a family council can help steer you. They're like your people, they're your posse. We all work together. We can help each other with questions. And if, Lori's on vacation, I can keep an eye out for her mom and I'll text her. Hey, Lori, here's a picture of your mom. She's okay. She ate. Her hair looks really cute. She just got her hair cut. And it's just a sense of camaraderie and organization and partnership that is really powerful. And you make friendships with people that you wouldn't ordinarily have from different walks of life. It's very, very rewarding. I say, go family councils, and I am impassioned and I am dedicated to family councils from now until the day I stop breathing.
So
Someone
that's a
else,
good, I want
sorry.
to jump into something real fast that Janine and I have an issue with most all nursing homes about. And it's a subject that is not discussed enough and affects everybody who walks through the door of every nursing home, and that's death. You know, a resident will pass in the middle of the night and it will become a game of telephone of who found out and who didn't. And whether it's the staff, whether it's the residents, or whether it's the family members, we're all in this together. And it is so hard when it is not communicated properly. I can tell you from personal experience from my son, when he finding out 4 days later that, oh my God, mom, this person died. I had no idea. And he was so upset. And I've been through it. Janine's been through it. Anything, whether it's our family councils, or when you're speaking with, administrators, and especially if something was to happen, it really is important that we all come to find a way to help build them, to make them build a system that works for the residents, the staff, and, and for the families, because it affects everyone. And it's the worst thing about my son living there is losing people I love. And I go through it all the time. But what's the best thing about my son living there is the people that I love. So it has to come both ways. And it's something I believe families are the only solution to fixing this problem. And it goes on every home in the country because they're worried somebody's going to get scared and think, oh my gosh, I'm next. They're all there receiving care for a reason. Everybody knows what is eventually coming, and it's how do you accept it the right way? Go ahead. I'm off my soapbox.
I think we've really answered most of these questions, and probably everyone would like to reach out directly to the three of you. So I guess we'll put your emails in the chat.
I was going to say 90% of the people here have mine, but
I put mine in earlier.
I'm putting mine in right now.
There was one remark about how about paying family members to be caregivers? I know, I mean, there are laws, but
I
of course,
was paid.
you don't make a living wage.
It's a minuscule amount, but I
Right.
mean, I have a friend that has a disabled son and she's paid to be his caregiver. He lives in her home and he's in his 40s.
I was
Right.
paid for part of it, but it's not enough. And even when they pay, the problem is the states are never going to provide enough hours to cover that full 24-hour rotation. I had to argue with a person about why I needed more than 50 hours a week care for my son when I was managing a restaurant. If anybody has ever found a restaurant manager that works less than 50, let me know, because it wasn't me. And what it took to get him to understand what my schedule was to compensate what my son needed. So they're never going to give you enough of what you need.
I just want to say, if I may,
Please.
we all have representatives who we voted for. Does everyone here know who their representative is? If you don't, look it up. It's really easy to look it up. I think you can go to, oh my gosh, I don't even know
Google.
anymore. It's so
Google.
easy, but you Google them and call those people every day, email them. Most of our representatives who we voted for, and even those that we haven't, but they're representing us because they got the majority vote. Great. Contact them every day, every week. Stay on top of them. Now is the time. There's a lot of transparency. There's more transparency than they're comfortable with. And we can see people's votes and we can let them know we won't vote for them unless they're taking care of the senior citizens and the long-term care residents living in their community and in their constituency, among their constituents. So now is the time. Open your mouths. We've got to stick up for ourselves and our loved ones because this is our future, you guys. We're all headed that one way. No one's getting younger. So become familiar with your representatives, be respectful, but be insistent. There's a great app called 5Calls. Download it. You can call every day, every morning. It takes 8 minutes, maybe at the most, to call all of your representatives and just hammer home in a respectful tone what you want them to vote for and what you want them to push for in your region, in your state.
Thank
Actually,
you.
Lori just asked a good question. How many family members would take training to learn how to do it better or do it right if they could get the training for free?
I would.
I would. Emily would. Alex would. Meg would. So there's a lot, and that's only looking at the first page. And there's Charles. Yes. Okay. So Lori runs an organization. Her NACA. Families should join. First of all, it's going to help you learn. Hopefully she has videos that people are going to start using and take classes. And wouldn't it have been great if you had somebody to teach you how to transfer your loved one the right way before you dropped them on the floor? Because we've all dropped them at least once. Wouldn't it be great to know what the difference, the basics, basic first aid, the things a CNA or a direct support person is taught. Lori's gonna be able to do these things through her website for people.
So Lori, are you offering classes to our attendees?
We're in the process of developing a direct care professional course curriculum for families for in-home, along with kind of a checklist of things to have on hand for this, or depending on the diseases and such.
Okay, so we can put it on our website. We can.
Yeah, soon. Yeah.
Right.
Before
Great.
long, we're testing right now, so it won't be too much longer. And we are going to do a little work with caring across generations to make sure we're meeting the need of the unpaid caregiver for sure.
AMK, you had your hand up? You're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, to your point about the system not approving the hours for caregivers to be able to get paid as many hours as you need. This is part of the whole aspect that I'm trying to break down. Like, it's not just about us being paid. It's like the whole system has to be busted open. Just like the long-term care system has to be busted open. If a long-term care facility, this is my like dream, that the line item budget that sends money to a nursing home now gets expanded because long-term care is anywhere. And so if a loved one is going to be in a nursing home, long-term care facility, and that facility is paid every single month, and every employee gets paid, and every supply they need gets paid for, and every single thing, the rent, whatever it is, gets paid for, the money's there. So if a caregiver, I mean, and I totally get that, like, not every family member can do this, and that's absolutely why we need long-term care for our loved ones. But for those of us who can do it and do it 24 hours a day, if I got paid 16, even if I got paid $16 an hour, in the 5 years I've taken care of my mom, I would have been paid over $800,000 by now. And you know what I could do with that money? I could pay for my own respite. I could pay for private out of my pocket for caregivers to come in and help take care of my mother. I could pay to go on vacation. I could pay for my self-care and my own doctor's appointments or whatever else I need to have done so I don't get sick. I could spend more time doing. So the money that I would get, we wouldn't need a federal respite program for people who are at home taking care of their loved ones who get paid. So the idea is to shift the entire conversation and shift the whole system. And I know it's a huge thing. So I wanted to make sure you understood that I know that we can't get approval. Like I've got 24 hours that I get paid to take care of my mom. I'm with her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's what
But
she got approval for.
if she was in a community somewhere, the cost they would be paying is 5 times the amount you're talking
Yes.
about. And
Well, and
so
I actually have
I'm with
yeah.
you, because what's the average cost of assisted living?
No idea.
Probably
You
like
know?
12 to 15 grand a month.
Okay. So
Yeah.
just think what you could do if it should be equal to a career because it is full
Mm-hmm.
time. It's full time.
Yes. Yep.
You're 3 shifts worth of care, 7 days a
Absolutely.
week. It should be
Yep.
exactly the same amount. What are they providing that you aren't providing for that amount
I
of
agree.
money? And somebody, this government, this country, somebody determined that was what the fair price was, right? So the
Right.
fair
Mm-hmm.
price is the fair price. Let's fight for what we want and what we deserve because true home and community-based services should take the place of people needing skilled nursing care. And there's nothing home health. The age in place has proven that in assisted living buildings where you can get skilled care and not have to move to a higher level. That's already happening. And there is no, I think we can make a perfect case for what it entails to be a family caregiver. You're
Mm-hmm.
providing the same exact thing that assisted living or skilled nursing would be providing that person, period.
More. More.
Oh, absolutely
I
more.
think we all providing more better care, closer
Oh,
care.
certainly more, but
Yeah,
I
for
mean
sure.
every bit of the
At least
payment.
as good.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Well,
talking
and
about the payment model
Yeah.
itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, I kind of feel that the reason the time is kind of right for having a model put together that really does kind of abolish nursing homes is that is it. I mean, if people can get paid, then you don't have anybody else. If somebody is liable, right? It's just the family that's liable, right? It's not a corporation. It's not a whole bunch of
Mm-hmm.
people. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
not, it's just going to be far more effective in so many different ways and worth every penny that they're paying
and
currently in this government for skilled and assisted living.
And it's really important that when we talk to legislators, we explain that it is long-term care supports and services. Because when you use those words, that does not mean skilled nursing. That means any kind of long-term care, whether it's at home, whether it's, part of a day program, partly at home, a combination thereof. And that's what the system needs, is a combination of thereof. What is the best thing for the person? This should not be about what is the best thing for the budget.
Gary, can you say that term again, please?
Yeah,
Long-term.
long-term care supports and services,
Long-term
LTCSS.
care. Okay.
And if you want to reach out to me, my email's in the chat. I will actually fill you in some other ways. But there's a lot going on. The problem is, like I said it this morning, Janine's done the same thing I did. Irma did it. Charlie did it wherever he's hiding in here because I saw him. We all kicked doors in to get our way into the system so people high up in the long-term care world in this country heard us. Unfortunately, there's not enough voices to be doing what we're doing. I mean, all they had to do was piss me off. They took my kid from me and said, "Oh, you can't see him because there's a pandemic." It didn't matter that I could watch every employee go in the gas station across the street from my house without a mask on. And I never left my house. And he lived 2 blocks away, and I was the one not allowed to see him. That's all it took. Pissed me off because when you upset a mom, she's going in like she's a bear. And I never stopped. And that was almost 6 years ago. And I will not stop because my son, like everybody else, Irma tells the story, Charlie tells it, we all have a different version. None of us will allow our loved ones to ever be imprisoned again. And I'm sorry, that's what they did. They imprisoned my son.
They imprisoned them all, and we were only able to see them through a
Right.
window. Remember that? And they
Oh.
couldn't hear us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And given a limited time to tell them how we love them and love on them and look at them as they had like long shaggy hair. You know, everything was, and we'll never go back to that again. We won't. It was a great learning experience for our country and us. It's up to us, and we can do this. We are loudmouths, all of us here on the
Yeah.
Zoom. One wallflower here on the Zoom. And we need to band together and fight. Or advocate, but fight.
And that's how this Transformation Tuesday series started, because it was during the pandemic that we made our own documentary honoring nursing home lives lost during the pandemic. It's on the website. And we did win an award for it. And that's when I realized that we had started a dialogue. And here we are, continuing this dialogue, hopefully making a difference. At least we're banding together. And let's see what we can do as a group.
And
So I
and it's
guess we're,
something
go
we
ahead.
don't say from Gray Panthers very often. First of all, we appreciate that everybody shows up once a month and listens to us, because we work hard to figure out what we're talking about next, because there are months that Michelle and I have been like, okay, now what can we talk about? So first off, you have an idea, let us know. You know somebody who would be a good speaker, let us know. We're always open to ideas. It's something Jenine said to us last weekend when I was in New York, and I actually got to see all my friends and my family that I love. Is, we are not funded by anybody. We scrimp and scrape and do what we can to keep Gray Panthers going, and we do okay with what we're doing. But please know, we'll always take help, whether you want to volunteer or you want to make a donation in any way, shape, or form. We will take the help, because we're a very small group of people that pretend to look like we're a lot of people, and we're not.
Hey, Carrie, this is AMK. I apologize. I can't find your email in the chat. Would you
I'll
mind
put
just
it in there
skipping it
again.
over the?
Yep.
Can you
And I
just
think
say
this
it?
is a good time to also say, with the recording, we can send out some of the resources that have been listed in the chat and some other contact information and things like that as well. So
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll help you with the chat sorting through.
And this is a great moment for me to thank Emily Trask, who's our digital manager, for recording this and all our programs, and for posting them on our website and mailing them to everyone who registered. So thank you, Emily.
thank you.
And I would like to invite everybody to join us again next month, August 26th. We're going to introduce the recipients of our 2025 Gerson Award for Rising Leaders. And these are people who are new voices challenging age-based discrimination across advocacy, policy, and media. So we have some exciting new people to introduce you to next month, August 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern.
One of
So
last year's winners is sitting right here. Alex is right
yes.
there.
So thanks to everybody for attending today and for this wonderful presentation, Lori, Janine, and Carrie. See everybody in 4 weeks.
Okay.
Call me, email me. I'm here for you people. Let's go. Let's make this happen.
Thank you.